I want to talk about the importance of public engagement in the plastic crisis. And I'll just introduce it by talking about my son. My son works at the Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine. He's an epidemiologist. He's brilliant as far as I'm concerned. But he produced a paper the other day which was published in the Journal of Infectious Diseases. Now, I'm a scientist. I really didn't understand the title, never mind what was in the abstract. And I said, "It's great, Sam." He said, "What do you think?" I said, "It's great, Sam." I said, "But I don't really know what you're talking about." He said, "Oh, we're just saying that the drugs that we already have out there for malarial treatments, we've been getting rid of them before we actually did the test properly, and the study that I've done says we can still use them again." "Oh, well, why didn't you put that?" And actually, as a scientist, I have to say we're our own worst enemies, because we produce papers and publications that only scientists read. And actually, as I alluded to in the previous presentation that I gave, what that means is that science is moving forward, but conventional wisdom, our wisdom, the people out there, is not keeping up. And it's important because science is fundamental to changing things. It's fundamental to a plastic strategic solution, but there are other things as well. And I always talk about 6 things. First, you've got the science, which is important, education, innovation, like these gumdrop shoes made out of used chewing gum, which smell of bubble gum, which is just weird. Alternatives, public engagement, and legislation. And so what I really want to talk about is public engagement. And when I was asked to do this, I thought, well, let's have a look and see what public engagement actually is. And this was the definition that I found, which was it's an educational grant funding organization who came up with this. And this is great, but what it really alludes to is this integration or this interaction with government organizations. This was when I was speaking to the Welsh National Assembly about their recent policy on microplastics. And more formal sort of engagements with universities and organizations. But in actual fact, I sort of reworded that definition to one that I think is probably more appropriate if we're going to approach this in the right way. And it's this one. And the quote is mine, so I kind of made it up as I went along. A means by which individuals, organizations, and communities can be actively involved in decision-making processes that affect society as a whole. So it's much less structured, in my view. It's more about how many levels we can engage with, and that's how we're going to resolve this. This picture here, and I'll come back to these children. I got an email from a teacher. I was running a microplastic survey on a beach, and she said, "Can I bring some school kids along to join in?" I said, "Yes, absolutely. The more the merrier." And when the minibus arrived and these 3-year-olds climbed out, I realized that I probably wasn't going to get the scientific data that I thought I was going to get. But why do we need public engagement? Well, the reason we need public engagement is because actually the greatest threat to our planet is the belief that someone else is going to save it. And in 2009, I met with a producer. I was just finished working on a BBC production called Life, and she told me about this plastic island and said, "We want to make a film about it because we need to tell people about this problem." There should be a film now rolling, so.
I remember the first time I saw a blue whale.
Oh, look. Wow.
I followed them since childhood.
What do you think it's from? Is it from a ship?
I could see plastic everywhere. We were in what we thought was a relatively pristine environment. I started to wonder what was happening in oceans elsewhere on the planet. Growing up, my world was the ocean. It's where I feel the most spiritual.
As a freediver, it was the place where I proved myself to myself. Finally, have the opportunity to pay the sea back.
Only a fraction of the plastic that we produce is recycled.
This is never going to degrade. It's got nowhere to go.
This was something that these animals, they were forced to endure because it was man-made and we'd put it into their environment.
The record is 276 pieces of plastic inside of one 90-day-old chick.
If the plastics are in the food chain for the dolphin, they're also in our food chain.
Exactly.
Communities are built on these landfill sites.
So sweet potatoes, corn, sugarcane, all growing on 40 years of garbage.
Do you have anything not wrapped in plastic?
No.
We have to make our life better for our kids' children.
Change is possible. It starts with us.
We actually spent 7 years making that film, and I've watched that trailer, I forget how many times, but I don't know about you, but even now when I watch it, it just puts a little tingle down my spine. Did any of you feel that? Did you kind of, I can't see the audience, but just nod, or good. Because that's what it was for. And if you've seen the film, you'll know that this was where we filmed blue whales in this particular area, and this was the feeding area, which has Ben Fogle here swimming in the stuff. So why did we do that? Well, that was all part of the education process. This was about knowing. In 2009, when I first started speaking about this problem, I would speak to an audience of 5, 6. In 2017, at the World Ocean Summit, there was a room full. So things are changing, but it needs to move. Are we going to always get it right? Are we going to bring everybody on? No, because the fact is that there are people in the world who just do things because they can't be bothered, and they will keep going to the park bench even though they hate everybody in that park. I think this is quite a funny slide, actually. It amuses me. But public engagement, participation, interaction with the people who we need to bring along can bring all sorts of other advantages I've found out in the work that we've been doing. First of all, it can help science. It helps science in a couple of ways. First of all, there is a little kind of reluctance, I suppose, to trust scientists all the time. We don't understand those papers, so we're not really quite sure what they're telling us. But in my situation, what I wanted to do was undertake some research in a small part of the UK, Chichester Harbour. Now, in order to get microplastic information on the same day, at the same time, with the same weather conditions and the same tide, I couldn't do it on my own. So I went about recruiting, and this was the different locations that we went to. I went about recruiting the general public, which was great. And I had 100 volunteers turn up. People wanted to get involved. People who wanted to learn something new. People who wanted to get a new skill and also contribute to the problem. As a result of that, we thought, well, how about, and I made the suggestion to the university, how about we go global? Ooh, no. Just stick with the UK. Nah. And this was 12 months ago when we started the Big Microplastic Survey. I have to say that Holland is really good at contributing, and there's a lot of registrations from there. But we're now in 56 different countries around the world. We've now just digitized the whole program, which means it's easier. There's an app. People can actually go and do a survey. All the instructions are there. You can watch me on videos going on and on and on. And people put their data into an app, and it automatically registers on a results page. And I'll show you what that looks like. And it's been fascinating and fantastic. This was in Argentina. In Argentina, there's an organization there. They've taken this project, and they're now going to do the whole coast of Patagonia over the next 2-3 years. I love this group because they actually sent me an email apologizing. They were going to do a beach, and they said, sorry, we couldn't do the beach because there were too many elephant seals on it. And I thought, and you're sorry? I'd just love to see that, wouldn't you? I mean, I can't do my science because there's too many big elephant seals on it. Fantastic. Cochin University on the west coast of India are also involved, and they're doing a lot of comparison studies with us so that we can actually compare the methods that we use with other methods that are out there and potentially increase the efficacy of those other results, which is going to add to it immensely. And I just love the fact that, they go out in saris and go and sit on the beach and collect microplastic samples. And this shows you the sort of thing that we now have on the results. It's all database, and this is just one area off the coast of Malaysia, and there's this group of islands, and one organization are doing all sorts of stuff. And we can look at the density of, if you want to find the density of orange plastics or blue plastics or microbeads or biobeads or secondary plastics, and it's all there, and we can add to that. So it's really coming along very well. But not only that, we've got 250 organizations involved now, government offices, the island of Ascension Island, people like that, which includes 25 universities, all getting involved. And if we're going to solve this issue, this is what we need to do. Another reason why we have to do this is because without bringing people along, we are never going to change their culture. We're never going to change behavior, change perceptions. I don't know where this mentality came from. It certainly wasn't there when I was that child's age. Because if anything had been dropped on the floor, my father would have given me a crack on the backside. I know, child abuse. But, that's what it was. But we can also use it as a powerful tool. These oranges, I'm sure some of you saw these when they came out, but they were taken off the market pretty quickly because of a really vociferous campaign on social media. So it's good. And I'm nearly finished. But the other thing is the government. Although governments should sort of write their policy and determine their policy based on scientific evidence, that's not always the way it goes. And we all can see that. You only have to look at the sort of policy statements that have been pushed out as a result of the recent climate change strikes and things that have been going on. And I just wanted to allude to the kids that I brought, the three-year-olds. This is them. So I gave them some buckets and I gave them some sieves and said, off you go and collect me some data. Well, they just go and play with the sand, which was all going swimmingly well. And I was taking photographs, and then I realized that they were actually eating the little colored nurdles, the plastic pieces, at which point I kind of ran away, not really knowing what to do. But anyway, I don't think it's ever too young for engagement. And I'll leave you with this one, really, because I like this quote. And it's from the Fellowship of the Ring. And I think the important thing is that everybody will have this opportunity to decide what they're going to do. But we have to invite them, we have to bring them along, they have to know. And if we do that, in my opinion, then we can make a difference and really make some positive change. Thank you very much.